How do you lead an organization of real estate professionals in a market where transactions can feel really hard to come by? My guest today, Adam Stein, president of Century 21 Stein Posner, and a good friend of mine, is here to answer that question. Thanks, Adam.
Indeed, Eddie. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you. It's a hard question to answer, but something we put a lot of effort and energy into. I think it's just keeping a positive mindset and finding the consumers that need to transact as opposed to those that want to transact or may not want to transact right now, given the environment we're in. We keep people focused on the purpose, the mission, what it is that we do every day for the consumers in the marketplace. And I know that's been mission critical for us, is keeping people focused. Of course, we've been preparing, this didn't just happen overnight. And so we've been preparing our agents to ensure that they've got the financial resources so they can play the long game. I think that's super important, is playing the long game. And then, basic principles, right? Staying in process, staying strong in your daily activities, even though you may have to do more of the same activity for less transactional outcome, there are people that need to transact. And so we got to find them and we got to stay diligent to the process. And then this is an experts market. Your skills have to be fantastic. You've got to be the better agent. You've got to be the expert in the market. And so this is not the time for people who are, half time or very little time. This is full-time expert market. And so, as a leader of the organization, we're continuing to skill build. We're continuing to keep people's minds positive and optimistic and focused. And then we're staying in process every day.
Yep. So you opened that by talking about the importance of a positive mindset. And that's something I've always admired about you is, we've talked through difficult problems and you always attack them from such a positive angle. So how do you make that happen? Do you have a daily routine that you follow, a morning routine? Tell us about that.
Yeah, cool. I have been accused of wearing rose-colored lenses at times, but the reality is, I have learned to really be a master of perspective. Nobody dies in real estate, right? And so while I acknowledge that this is a hard business and we deal with a complex transaction, and of course humans are complicated, looking at the solution rather than the problem has always worked for me. And one of the ways I do that is, in fact, indeed, how I start my day every day. Specifically, if you want to talk about the actual tactics of the morning routine, my morning starts the night before, right? Go to bed early. Rest is essential. And I'm up at 4 a.m. It's crazy. This morning I woke up and I was just up and I asked Alexa, what time is it? And she says 4 a.m., like on the dot, no alarm. It's crazy how my body is programmed for it now. The first hour, I kind of mapped it out here. The first hour is activation, which is just getting my body, my mind, my spirit right. I'm a faith-based guy, right? So prayer, meditation, affirmation, gratitude's important. And of course, nutrition, hydration, just getting my body right. Next hour, 5 a.m. is going to be intention. That's planning. That's me connecting to my vision. It's real easy to be stuck in the moment, right? It's real easy to be subject to the day and the issues of the day. I'm constantly looking at what I want, why I want it, and who I need to become in order to make that happen. And so that's vision, that's mission. And then it's learning. I'm constantly filling my mind. I'm very careful on what I allow to go into my mind. Guard closely the doorway to your mind. So I don't watch news. I don't subscribe to negative commentary. My social media, I don't look at my phone, until I really get to the gym. I'll start looking at it. That's 6 a.m. But I'm up 2 hours before I take a look at my phone. You know what I mean? Because if you look at your phone or you turn on some negative news, man, it's going to take you in the direction it wants to. And then 6 a.m. to about 8 a.m., that's preparation. That's gym, right? Taking care of my body. That's time in nature. I have a dog, so I spend a little time walking my dog, get some time in nature. Appreciate, I live in a beautiful place, but I think we all live in a beautiful place if we choose that state of mind. And then, breakfast, shower, and then 8 a.m., it's go time. I'm at the office.
So of those crucial first 2 hours, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, is that all spent like in your brain thinking through things, or are you creating output at that same time?
No, I'm not. I'm not in production mode at that time. That's presence time. That's time for me to be present with myself. I'm taking in rather than putting out. You know what I mean? And I feel like when I'm taking in, actually, I don't feel like, I know based on my experience that when I'm taking it in, I'm setting up my neural networks. You know what I mean? I'm intentionally activating my body, activating my mind, activating my spirit in the direction of what I want, rather than allowing external forces to influence that. And it's been hugely powerful for me. So yeah, I'm plugging in content. I'm listening to inspiration. I'm reading content that centers around where I want to go and who I want to become and the outcomes I want to create in my life, so that my literally my neural pathways are just grooving in deeper. And that way, when it's time to show up and produce, I've already built that foundation so that I'm not subject to the day. I've already determined what I want my day to be.
Yeah, that's fascinating. My morning starts at 4:58 a.m. and I've tried that exact approach, but my best creative times are those first 2 hours when my house is quiet. I'm the only one up, and I just find that is when I just wake up and it just comes out. So I've never been accused of wearing rose-colored glasses. I think I've been accused of having rose-colored ideas, but never rose-colored glasses. And this next question is going to prove that to you. So I have this vision for where the market is right now, and it feels to me like it is we're like at the dark side of the moon, and we're in a vessel, the real estate market, that is accustomed to moving really fast, so zipping through, because we have a 6 million home shortage in the United States. So there is incredible demand for the product that we sell, but interest rates, 30-year fixed, just yesterday, as we're recording this, just crossed 8%. And that is causing this vessel to move slower, and it feels darker than it has for years. And the irony is, it's if you're a consumer and you can swing where the rates are, probably the best options you're going to have out there are going to be in these next couple months. How do you does your strategy to motivate and inspire your agents change in a market like this, though?
My strategies to motivate and inspire people do not change, because I think that inspiration comes from within. Motivation is externally driven. And motive, right? The word motive is reason, right? Why do we do things? Inspiration comes within. And so, for me, I think education changes. I think that we're keeping our people on the cutting edge of education so that they can be the knowledge brokers, right? As our buddy Tom Ferry would say, we're the knowledge brokers. And so we've got to be out there engaging. I always say this: engage, educate, and empower, right? And so we are responsible to bring the information and the education to the consumer. We are professional problem solvers. That has not changed. That will not change, right? And as the external forces kind of dictate the direction of the vessel, as you said, or the pace of the vessel, our job is to keep the vessel moving through engagement, education, and empowerment. Now, I do think that the distinction for me is this is a professionals market. And so no longer are the agents, the sales associates who've chosen to get their license to have a hobby or a part-time side hustle. I mean, that's fine. I mean, people are entitled to do what they want. If the state licensing boards say it's okay to just pass a test and you get the right to help people through this important transaction, I'm not going to go against that. I think the barrier to entry should be higher. I know we both agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that the professionals will continue to perform and produce. I do think that, level setting expectations and keeping people focused on, like I said, principles, process, standards, activities, future vision, that stays the same for me. Nothing has changed.
I told you I wake up at 4:58. My morning starts, I typically tune into the 5 a.m. call. And yesterday, again, this is as of the recording date, Byron Lazine said something, and I'm going to paraphrase it here, essentially, part one, he said that agents now, with interest rates, in the 8% range for a 30-year fixed, are going to have to work harder than they have in years, and that the hardest working agents are going to reap the best benefits. But those benefits, it's important to note, may not be felt in the coming months or year. But think about it this way. Typically, right now, we're on pace for 2023 to be the slowest in terms of production year in real estate in the United States since the earliest years of the Great Recession. The reason there's so much opportunity in that is typically, let's just say that production's down 40%. That means that there are 40% more people that real estate agents that work at both of our companies and in any company, they have 40% more people to be creating relationships with, right? Maybe they're in like number 3 position with a given consumer, but with the right push, with the right networking, with the right impression they make, they could work their way up to number 1, which is all they have to do is be number 1 the day they decide to list a home, buy a home. And so do you see that as a big opportunity in your market down there in Boca, like I see it in the DC area?
Indeed, those that are, willing to stay with the basic principles, right? Number one thing we do every single day as real estate professionals is we talk to people. We invest in relationships. And if we're being, we move from transactional to transformational, and transactional is I'm trying to slam some buyers because I just got some buyer leads off Zillow and let me go sell this house, right? Nothing wrong with that, but it's very transactional. Transformational is being present to the human being, being present to those relationships. You've got to really be willing to invest in those relationships. Our agents that have been in the game with us for a longer period of time, who have invested in those relationships, are yielding the greatest results right now. I do believe, as we mentioned here already on the call, that there are going to be a good number of agents that choose to no longer stay in the business because they had not invested in those long-term relationships. So those that are transformational and are willing to put the work in, I agree with you, man, that they're going to reap the benefits over the long term. We're going to have fewer agents in the business. I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm not wishing for anybody not to achieve their goals and dreams of being a top producing agent, but it is going to be, a law of the fittest here, and those who are willing to really dig in and do the work. And I've been saying that forever, and I think now that those talking points are just really coming true. And like I said, man, there's people that need to transact. Bottom line is life events still happen, and people need to transact. And so we got to find those people. We got to dig deeper. We got to work harder. We got to stay more diligent. We got to stay more disciplined. I've long believed consistency, structure, and discipline equals freedom. And if you're willing to put in that work over the long game, you're going to win. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yep. And agents are always going to be climbing the ranks, right? The agents, because we are in a relationship-based business, as you said, the longer you're in the business, the more meaningful relationships you're going to accrue every year. Your most outstanding, valuable relationships are typically going to be people that have transacted with you in the past. Because, if you're new to town, you ask somebody, hey, I need a barber, and somebody says, oh, I hear so-and-so's good. Or somebody says, oh, you got to go to Gino. He's been cutting my hair for years. Then, you're going to go with Gino. All right, Adam. So your bio and Instagram, you give yourself a lot of titles. The first one is coach. You talk about you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a broker, you're a real estate professional. How do you, what is your most valuable role that you provide the agents that are at Century 21 Stein Posner?
Yeah, what it doesn't say, or at least you didn't mention, is leader.
Okay, gotcha.
And leader to me is about influence. The number one skill of a leader is the ability to influence other people. And, we're all leaders, right? I mean, obviously, Eddie, you're the leader of your organization. You, Sean, and Nick do an amazing job influencing and supporting and inspiring your people. But so are our agents, right? They're leaders in their worlds, leading people through one of life's most stressful and important financial transactions. And, leader. And I think leader comes with a whole host of different levels. For me, leader is about empowering others. Seeing the potential in them. My gift and my curse is that I see greatness in everyone. I believe in everyone. Now, the curse is that I believe in people sometimes more than they believe in themselves, and that can lead to disappointment. But I think that's every broker, owner, coach's struggle. But when we can believe in people, when we can help them believe in themselves, I think that's our most important work.
Yeah. Well, look, you said that's every broker, owner, coach's struggle, but you're not giving yourself enough credit there, because I feel like you are one of the top broker owners that's also truly a coach. And I'd love for you to dig in for a bit, go through the difference between coaching an agent to greatness and say teaching them, managing them to greatness.
Yeah, and coaching, and let's call it training, right? So, coaching is a process while training is more of a system. You know what I mean? Training is, right, here's the nuts and bolts, the X's and O's, here's the framework, do this, then do this, then do this, right? And if you execute this training, then you'll achieve this outcome, right? Input definitely achieves output. Coaching is, in many ways, creating the space and being present to people for them to self-discover, and prompting them through their own process to identify and ideally break through limitation, and overcome what we all deal with is just complacency or average or mediocre, right? It's like way easier to be average and mediocre than it is to be excellent. And sometimes as a coach, my job is to help them really bring out the best in themselves. I know you do this, Eddie. I've been very fortunate, still am, to have great coaches in my life. And I think that's our job as coaches, right? It's to create an environment for people to self-discover what they're capable of, and then empower and reinforce and support that as they continue to develop and evolve.
All right, so we have gotten to the heart of the question, which is, how do you keep your team motivated in a market where transactions are slow to come by? Thank you so much, Adam. We are putting your contact information on the screen. Anybody interested in learning more, certainly buying a house in the Boca Raton, Florida market, please reach out to Adam. And those of you who liked this video, want to see more of it, hit like, hit subscribe, and we'll send more your way. Thanks, Adam.
You bet.